Let's have a conversation about what to do if you find yourself getting in trouble and getting arrested and you have to go to jail. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling women and men who have experienced abuse, as well as those who have been perpetrators of abuse and other violent crimes. I wanted to have a conversation about a very serious topic, and hopefully, none of you all will ever have to do this, but unfortunately, a lot of you all will have to go through this. In particular, if you are Black or brown, it is not hard for you to go to jail. And right now, we are in very uncertain times for a lot of Black and brown people. Black people have always been in uncertain times, but brown people are joining by the masses. When I first started working in corrections back in 2016, it was mostly black people, but now I think correction. When I ended up leaving prison, there was way more Hispanic and Latino that were growing at exponentially fast rates. But anyhow. So here's some quick and dirty tips. It's not comprehensive, but just something I think you should know. First of all, innocent people do go to jail all the time. So don't think that only people who do bad things go to jail. And I used to think that prior to doing what I do now, I used to think that for a very long time. The first thing you want to do when you get in jail, before you even go to jail, here's something for you to really think about. You need to think about right now, if you were to find yourself in a situation in jail, who could you, if you get your one phone call, who could you hop on the phone and call right now that would come and bail you out? No questions asked, or would be there for you. No questions asked. Chances are it's maybe like one or two people at most for many people. So my advice is, if you don't have anybody that can help you out with bail money that would stand up for you if something were to happen, you might want to reevaluate that relationship. Because a lot of people find out who's really down for them when they get themselves into legal trouble. Number one, or number two, I guess. Number two is, you're going to be there. Number two, a lot of places will allow you to bond yourself out if you have money. So if you contact a bail bondsman, make sure you have enough money in your account to bond yourself out, and know your username and your password, because when you hop on that phone and call the bail bondsman, they're going to want to verify that they could at least see the money that you can give to them, and maybe have somebody as collateral, right? But I would also say hold off on, posting bail until you have your arraignment hearing, because they may end up reducing bail at your arraignment hearing. So, your bail may be reduced significantly once you get in front of a judge. So I would say, maybe you want to hold off on that. Going along with that, though, um, if you have money to bail yourself out, and I know that a lot of people who are in jail right now don't even have that, but if you have money to bail yourself out, but that's a big chunk of change, and you have to decide between bail or getting a good attorney, my advice would be to always spend money, preferably on a good attorney, before you spend it on bail. That's just me. But I understand people have children, people have other things, people have to go back to work, but and they feel like they can make the money. But if you're in big trouble, money is better spent on getting a really good attorney and putting down a retainer, which can be several thousands of dollars. It can get very expensive. Going along with that, with a good attorney. So number three or four, um, if you uh, if you decide, if you get I recommend, if you're in a position to, even if you get a public defender, a lot of people, a lot of attorneys will want to settle. And the reason why a lot of attorneys want to settle is because they don't want to do a trial. Either they don't have an experience or they just don't want to do the work. And so they'll say, hey, pay me $10,000, $15,000 and we can plead you down. Now, if you have any type of career or ambitions for a career, I would advise you to not do that, because unfortunately, there's a lot of jobs, unless you're at a job where you'll never, ever, ever have a background check, or a background check isn't going to become an issue with you. But even still, I think, if you're living in an apartment, if you're, if you're doing certain things, a background check can very well become an issue, particularly if your kids get sick. Working with felons for a long time, when the felons, their children got terminal illnesses or like cancer, heart needed transplants, like heart transplants or something major like that. Felons can't go and stay at like Ronald McDonald houses and other housing things like that. So they, even if they've gotten off and things like that, they don't allow you to be there on the premises. So even if you don't think you'll need it, trust and believe you'll need it. So try to get someone that's not trying to get you to take a charge, even if it's a lesser charge, because unfortunately that will impact you. And sometimes it will impact you in ways that you can't foresee in the future. And you don't ever want that to come up. So always get someone, in my experience, you want to get an attorney that never take a gamble, but you always want to get an attorney that has experience with and winning trials. So especially, if you're in a big, if you're in a big conundrum, if it's like a big case and it ain't going nowhere, like murder or things like that, and trust, there are public defenders, and I've worked with some of them that are really good, and good at trial experiences, but they're also good at sort of getting you out of things, before trial comes. That's when they come and hire somebody like me, that can help with them doing things like that, like experts. So always try to get someone that's going to fight for you. And the way that you can tell, is you talk with them about it. If the first thing they're not trying to do is to tell you to take a hit, but they're sort of giving you strategies or talking to you like you're a human being and things like that, that's usually a good sign that you got somebody. But number 5, you also need to do your part. So even if you've hired a lawyer or legal professional, you need to understand what your lawyer is doing. You need to help with planning and strategizing and being in the loop. So you need to be able to understand the language that they're doing. If you are illiterate, if you cannot read or write, this is where a lot of people get really hung up. You ask your lawyer to explain things to you better. But in my opinion, if you can read or write, you need to really study the law, and what they're doing, because sometimes, even if your lawyer is well versed and well trained, um, there's always new things that are being introduced into cities and counties that your lawyer may not be abreast upon. And so you want to be able to ask them questions and things like that. I would say this is especially true for people like me, that maybe have licenses and things like that, where you have to go through the Department of Justice and you have to get fingerprinted and things like that. Always make sure that you are strategizing your case for someone with a license, because the minute the FBI does that fingerprint check and that thing comes up, so you may have to take extra steps to get your case expunged. Like here in California, you have to do that even if your case is dismissed. They don't automatically drop it. So you will have to go back to court. But a lot of criminal attorneys don't know that, and so you would need to be the one to educate them about that. And you may find yourself in this situation, unfortunately, if you're dealing with someone who is abusive and or toxic. You also need to know where you're living. If you are living in a city or a county where there's a zero tolerance policy, you want to be careful with that as far as law enforcement goes. That means that, if law enforcement comes out, somebody's going to jail, and that might be you. Hope that helps. Thanks so much.